Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the reissue of the remastered from the Callas edition, Pagliacci. Yes, Pagliacci. I love Pagliacci. I mean, don't we all love Pagliacci? Come on, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. This is a fabulous performance of it. Now, of course, everyone is going to make a big deal about the fact that it includes Maria Callas. But before we get to Maria Callas, let's talk about the deluxe packaging here. I mean, you would think, my goodness, if this were any more slender and evanescent, it might be just digibits. It has about as much substance as your average binary code. And inside you get a little disc in a paper sleeve. Here it is, the little disc in the paper sleeve. There it is, disc and paper sleeve. And a tiny booklet that contains in, a whole bunch of languages, 3 paragraphs on Maria Callas singing Pagliacci. Not a word about anything or anybody else. So there you go. That's quality for you, isn't it? Unbelievable. But here it is in all of its slender magnificence. Well, it's like Maria Callas herself. She slimmed down. So did her recording of Pagliacci. So the cast is wonderful. I mean, you've got Maria Callas, of course, is Netta, and Giuseppe Di Stefano is Canio. It's one of his really good roles. He sings wonderfully. And Tito Gobbi is Tonio. Now, aside from Di Stefano, who is, a voice, this is not a Pagliacci for people who want fabulous voices. I know people are going to say, but it's Maria Callas. She had a distinctive voice. It was not a conventional voice. It was not a conventionally beautiful voice. That's where the controversy comes with all of her roles, right? People love the voice. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I think she sort of hated it half the time, frankly. I mean, it had its own personality, and it had to be tamed into submission. And it was like a cat, I mean, a cat, a beautiful, lovely cat. Sometimes they're very affectionate and fuzzy, and sometimes they just ignore you completely. That was Maria Callas's voice. It was feline in personality. And you just have to accept it. I think she's marvelous. I think she's marvelous, not because of her voice. I think her voice is a little weird, frankly, but because she was an amazing musician. She did things with the relationship between words and text. Words and text, between text and music, there we go, that no one else did, because she just had such musical insight. She was that talented and instinctively talented. So I have no issue with her kind of weird voice. Same thing with Tito Gobbi. And that's why the performances were there together are always so wonderful. He was every bit as much a thinking man's baritone as she was a thinking woman's soprano. So when they're together, cool things happen if you follow the words, which are thoughtfully not included. See, there you go. Because like the role of Netta, which she never sang actually on stage, the role of Netta, it's not that huge in the sense that she's got one big number, the Ballatella, which is about a bird that her mother used to sing to her, this song about freedom, which is sort of the freedom she wants because she's trapped in this, the life of a circus performer with an unhappy marriage and whatnot. And she wants to be free. She's a little bit like a Carmen in embryonic form. Carmen is far more out there. But, it's an amazing role if you want to make something of it. Teresa Stratas, in her recording and video, by the way, also made something of it. You can really do something if you get to the person behind, the notes, behind the story. And Callas did that. The thing that made Callas great was the fact that she just worked harder than anybody else. Everybody who worked with her, and I know people who did. I had a very long conversation once with Krista Ludwig about working with Maria Callas in Norma and other things and whatnot. She said she just was totally professional. She had no tolerance for BS from anybody. She was always prepared. She worked like a dog on her roles. And it tells in these performances because she knows the character. What does it mean to work on the role? It doesn't mean just knowing the notes. It means knowing the reason behind the notes and expressing that through your singing, through your enunciation of the text. I mean, my God, nobody could spit out a word the way Maria Callas could, and Tito Gobbi for that matter. And if the voice wasn't all that lovely, well, that's what happens sometimes. But the spirit and the feeling are always there, and the knowledge, the sense of understanding what's going on and why it matters. I mean, that's musical greatness, and it's true of all great musicians, and it's very rare in singers. Boy, is it rare in singers. So, the bottom line is we have the La Scala Orchestra, which sounds terrific. Tullio's Serafin, who knows the music as well as anybody ever has. The sonics are mono, a little boxy and limited, obviously, but perfectly listenable. This remastering was quite good. I mean, these Callas edition remasterings really do sound better than previous releases for the most part. And it's a splendid Pagliacci. And it's a good way to get to know Callas because it doesn't, you don't have to listen to it for hours. It's not crazy long. It's a wonderful, popular opera. And it's interesting because she's not exactly the main character. Stefano is more than anybody else. And so you get a sense of how these three characters are all triangulating their relationship as the work goes on. It's an ensemble piece. And so you're not confronted with just like one person who's front and center all the time. It's a great performance, a great ensemble performance, actually, of a wonderfully great and mercifully brief opera. And I recommend it accordingly. If you don't know it, give it a shot. And if you think you don't like Maria Callas or are sort of afraid of it or want to stay away from all the Maria Callas crazies, and I can't blame you because there are lots of them and they are crazy, this is a great way to start. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.